Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think he could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-electric Prologue SUV, there's a lot that could impress you about it. There's the generous passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Savor every last drop of summer with Starbucks. From bold refreshers to rich cold brews, the sunniest season only gets better with a handcrafted iced beverage in your hand. Available for a limited time. Your summer favorites are ready at Starbucks.
After Zoomies at the dog park, it's time for Drive Up at Target. In goes a big bag of kibble and one squeaky chicken toy for the good boy. Drive Up that's ready when you are, only in the Target app. Just tap Target.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Video, please get the photo of a clearly almost nude Greg Cote during Mardi Gras drinking in the street.
I mean, we can laugh today. We're out of the pressure cooker.
Put that behind me and let's show everybody Greg Cote walking through the streets of New Orleans during Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras.
There he is with me and my late brother. I remember all of that.
You knew that they would have that logo.
Yes, it was amazing.
Way back then.
Ron Magill joins us now to answer the question we were asking before about whether a shark could eat the Stanley Cup. There are all sorts of strange things you can find inside of a shark. I don't know what the strangest are, Ron, but I don't think it could be anything as large as the Stanley Cup, can it?
It could be something as large as the Stanley Cup if it weren't made out of sterling silver. I mean, if it's something that could be crushed, yeah, theoretically they could eat it. I mean, God, didn't you see Jaws? They ate some scuba tanks.
What is the strangest things? Yeah, there was a license plate and some other things found in Jaws when Steven Spielberg cut him open. But what are the strangest things that you have found or you have learned about in a great white shark? Because they are garbage disposals, right?
Not really, Dan. Not really. I mean, they will feed on carcasses of whales. I mean, they will, vigorously feed on dead whales that are just rotting and smell like make you gag in your mouth. But they don't necessarily, pick up, beer cans and bottles and stuff like that. No, they don't. They're not that kind of scavenger. If they're eating something like that, it's something that was attached to something that they meant to eat. Things, garbage floating in the ocean, floating into the carcass of whale. When they're eating the whale, they'll swallow everything that gets in their mouth, but not intentionally eating things like human trash. No.
Do you have the most unusual thing you've heard about being found inside of a shark?
No, I really haven't. I mean, I've heard of all kinds of fish parts and unfortunately sometimes some human parts, but I haven't heard anything mind blowing. I mean, I've heard of things in bellies of other animals. I mean, like ostriches. Ostriches eat all kinds of drill bits and screws and cans, and they are garbage disposal. They'll put everything in their mouth and swallow it.
There was a world-renowned surfer who also took up some acting roles that was killed in a shark attack yesterday. And there's been recent video from South Beach of a bull shark really close to shore. We've asked you a couple of times on climate change, and a lot of it's wait to see how this is going to change the behavior of sharks. Are we going to be seeing them come closer and closer to shore, trying to find new sources of food?
It's certainly possible. I mean, sharks are following the bait fish. So as soon as the bait fish start coming in closer, so are the sharks. They're following the bait fish. Now, I hope that people took notice of that video, for instance, of that bull shark out there on South Beach. How many people it went right by without biting them, without attacking them? That's not to say it's not possible, of course, but let's put this in perspective. When we talk about, we hear a shark attack, this horrific tragedy in Hawaii with this guy, okay? Horrible, horrible. But yet, people need to not paint with a broad brush and say, this is why all sharks need to be destroyed. Look at that bull shark literally swimming within feet of dozens of people there and never bit one of them. Never bit one of them. Let's please keep this in mind.
Ron, I have two quick questions. Number one, what land animal is most likely and capable of eating the Stanley Cup?
Oh, geez. Land animal? I don't know, because none of the carnivores are going to do it. I mean, they're just not going to do it. I don't see anything like it.
The scent of meat all over the Stanley Cup.
It's not edible. It's not an edible thing.
Right.
It's a giant
it's not something
thing.
Hippopotamus,
exactly.
maybe. Hippo.
No, it's not. There's no land animal that's going to eat the Stanley Cup.
Okay, thank God for that. Now, here's my other question. I just read 3.5 billion birds in America every year die from flying into panes of glass.
Yes.
Is that a survival of the fittest thing where we say, birds are dumb, or is there something that should be done to save birds?
That is absolutely something that should be done. There are little types of stickers, little types of things that you can put on your window that doesn't destroy your view or anything like that, but birds can see it. See, the reason why these birds fly into windows is they're seeing reflections of the things behind them. If they're flying, if you have a beautiful house full of windows and you're surrounded by a forest, they see that forest in the window and they fly right into it. Okay? The same thing with high-rise buildings. In the high-rise building, when it's above all the other buildings, they're seeing sky. They're seeing a reflection of sky behind them, so they go into that. All you need to do, and the Audubon Society makes these available for free, I believe. You can just get these little stickers and put them on your sliding doors. Again, they're not these, these huge obstructional types of things. They're just visible by the birds, barely visible by you, and it saves countless lives.
1823, Ron, West Indies, they found a cannonball, 6-pound cannonball in a shark's stomach.
Okay. I mean, that's an anomaly. 1863. I don't know how many of those records are as dependable.
Ron, you allege that animals would not eat the Stanley Cup. Now, it's up for debate, but if an animal were to eat a championship trophy, which championship trophy do you think is most edible? NBA, Stanley Cup, MLB? What do we think?
I gotta think the Lombardi Trophy. It's it's pretty cylindrical. It's not really huge. It's not really wide. It's a swallowable trophy.
Let's go out to Roy at the Elbo Room. Magill, would you like an update from Roy? He's right near the Stanley Cup. What kind of information can you give us, Roy, from out there? It sounds like there's chanting and things are getting louder. It's before noon, and I suspect that if they're going to spend the whole day there, some wild Stanley Cup stories end up happening, breaking out around the party of a champion.
You're muted, Roy.
Roy,
unmute your microphone.
You got to unmute it.
This is the toughest.
Well, as you saw, they just dumped beer back down to the ground out of the Stanley Cup. We got some Panthers employees drinking out of the cup right now.
Go get some, Roy.
Roy, any chance?
I am not allowed in it.
You're not allowed.
But can you get in the line of people that get their beer get beer poured on their face?
You've spent a lifetime around this team. You have to know someone who's going to let you into that place. You have to. Come on.
No, unfortunately, I'm not allowed inside. No, and I'm not going to get beer poured.
That would be such a great video, though.
Why don't you want beer poured?
Good tent.
Because I'm wearing my jersey and it's already hot and I'm sticky. So that's not going to happen.
I'll buy you a new jersey.
Wow, Mike
I'll buy you a new jersey.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, Roy. It's good to get all of your joy here on Meadowlark Media. You're just totally out of control. The best we've got from you is slurring last night while doing your reports. We appreciate yourself. You're pouring yourself.
Roy Bellamy! Roy!
Pouring yourself. I'm here.
Was that Nico Mikola?
That looked like Dan behind you.
Thank you, Roy. Good talking to you. Appreciate all your time. We will come back to you and see if you decide to have more fun with the people having fun or if you're going to sit it out because you don't want to do dry cleaning.
I feel like the next time the cup leaves the Elbo Room, that's when you sneak in, right? Because all eyes are on the cup. As it's going out, you go in, and then no one will be watching.
You go where the cup isn't.
Exactly right.
Yes.
What a day. We are made it.
Hey, I want to see the picture of Rodriguez's little baby girl sitting in the cup that he said he wanted to take last night. That's going to be a great shot.
All right, I'll text it to you privately. Hey,
Thank you.
actual Florida Panthers, where are we with that? They bouncing back, or
they're bouncing back as well as can be hoped for, because you know what? Decades ago there were only 20 of them left. Okay, now there's probably a little bit over 200. So they have increased their strength. They've increased their numbers. They've increased their range. You know, they are no longer the new team with just a bunch of neophytes. These Panthers have expanded their population, but only to the limit of what's available to them in habitat. People don't realize that Panthers, you know, the number one killer of Panthers is cars. Unfortunately, cars, they get hit by cars on the road. But what people don't understand, the number two killer of Panthers is other Panthers, because they fight for territory. Whoa. And they're limited to their territory. So the males will kill each other over territory. And that's the number two killer of Panthers. But, you know, this is the largest cat in the state of Florida. It is the state animal. You know, we have a state mammal, the manatee, we have a state bird, the mockingbird, which we hope to make the flamingo soon. You know, we have a state butterfly, the zebra wing. But the state animal, like the animal, the number one animal in the state is the Florida Panther, man.
Are we actually trying to change the state bird to the flamingo?
Yes, we are.
Are you leading this cause? Like, who's changing?
Well, Zoo Miami is working with the foundation. We've been speaking to legislators. They have put a bill forth that kind of died in the House this last session, but they're hoping to bring it again the next session to make the flamingo the state bird. I think it's a natural.
The ibis.
Ron, how did you feel last night? You're a sports fan. I don't know how big of a hockey fan you are.
You know, I'm a huge sports fan, and to see the last major team in Florida win the Stanley Cup, win the championship, you know, I've been here. I've been here for the 72-73 Dolphins. I was here for the 2006 Heat. I was here for the 96-97 Marlins. Now to be here and to see this happen here in Florida, it makes me happy because, you know, everybody knows I transplanted from New York. New York is a big sports town. We had some great teams back then. 1969, the greatest year of my life as a sports guy. The Mets, the Jets, the Knicks, the Rangers. I mean, it was everybody winning the championship that year. So coming down here and having this team do this, and to be able to say a Florida team, a Southern Florida team wins an ice hockey championship, that's just so freaking great.
Great only here. Everyone else in the world is furious about it.
Well, you know what, Dan? Dan, you know what? They're going to need to get over it because, you know, if somebody cannot look at a coach and a general manager literally sobbing there on the ice last night, I started to get emotional watching that, realizing the eruption of emotion that is built up in these guys that have worked so hard for this. Now, don't get me wrong. I felt bad for, you know, the McJesus there, that guy, whatever. I felt bad for him. I wish he'd come out to kind of accept the trophy, even though I probably understand why he didn't. I thought it was bad that people were booing that because, you know, the stats indicated that he was the MVP, even though, God, did our goalie kill it. That guy was amazing. He had a couple of bad games, I understand that. But when it counted, baby, he did it.
I love that as a rallying cry. I felt bad for that guy McJesus or whatever.
You think the rest of the nation is looking at this celebration because this is South Florida's first ever crack at this trophy, and this is Broward's team, and this is a super Broward County celebration right now. Lord Stanley was in the ocean just moments ago. Like, these are really cool scenes.
I believe that the northernmost point that has a team in North America is enraged that the southernmost point in America in water that's never frozen. The Stanley Cup just went into water that is never frozen. I believe the people who warm themselves up with the feelings around hockey are furious that we get to experience that.
All they had was hockey.
Ron alluded to like all the hard work that goes into this, and that's the type of pressure cooker these players were in yesterday in Game 7. The spectrum was this, what you're seeing on your TV, jumping into the ocean with the hardest trophy in sports to win, or Punchline Forevermore. That transcends that sport and gets brought up every time someone is blowing a lead. That was what was on the other end of last night's game for them.
Ron, good talking to you. We will talk to you soon. I know you're headed to Africa. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Take care. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Look, as a small business, we don't get to clock out, ever. We're always on. Nights, weekends, holidays. So, when it came time to hire someone, we couldn't waste time. We needed help. Real help. Not Stugotz knows a guy help. We used LinkedIn Jobs. And we'll be honest, we didn't expect it to be that easy. We posted the job for free. LinkedIn basically held our hand and wrote the description for us. Next thing you know, candidates. Qualified ones. Not resumes written in crayon. Real people who want to work. Imagine that. LinkedIn gives you all the tools. Deep insights, easy filtering, one place to manage everything. We even threw the little hashtag hiring frame on our profile picture, doubled the number of applicants. Now we're part of that 72% of small businesses that say LinkedIn helps them find high-quality candidates. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/DLS. That's linkedin.com/DLS to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
I've mentioned it before on the show, but guys, I don't really get enough sleep generally. And so when I do get sleep, I want to make sure I'm getting great sleep. And do you ever, like me, wake up tired and think, maybe it's not me, maybe it's the bed? Yeah, it probably is the bed. That's why there's the Sleep Number Smart Bed, the bed that learns you. It adjusts to your movements, supports your body, and lets you pick the firmness on each side. No arguments, no flipping a coin, no sleeping on the edge of the bed like you lost a challenge on Survivor. Sleep Number's been working with the NFL since 2018. 80% of NFL players sleep on one of these beds. If it's good enough for a 300-pound lineman trying to recover from Sunday, it's probably good enough for your weird shoulder cramp from scrolling in bed for 3 hours. Why choose a Sleep Number Smart Bed? So you can choose your ideal comfort on either side. The only bed that lets you make each side firmer or softer whenever you like your Sleep Number setting. And now, it's the Sleep Number 4th of July sale. Save over $600 on the Sleep Number P5 King Smart Bed, the lowest price of the season, limited time, exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. See store or sleepnumber.com for details.
Dan Le Batard.
Mike Ryan's in there, and he's the one with a baby. He's the one who's got to, worry about what the future is. And Mike Ryan bet on DraftKings because Mike Ryan bet on us. This is the bet you're afraid of doubling down on? Putting up a billboard in Edmonton?
Stugotz.
I care more about Matthew Tkachuk than I do my daughter.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
When Mike says that, I am genuinely curious because a lot of people in sports around joy say that while they were climbing, they wish they had enjoyed it more. That too often the suffering involved in sports makes it so that when you're in joyous experiences, you're so competitive and trying to be better at all times that what you feel yesterday more than anything can be relief instead of joy. I know that after 4 years of spending the time where LeBron was with the Heat, at the end of that all being over, there was relief in winning 2 championships, losing 2 championships, and at the end of it, it might be a little bit unsatisfying, a little underachieving, but you're not being laughed at because you only won 1 championship in 4 years because Ray Allen bailed you out. How much relief was there in yesterday, Mike, when you talk about eternal laughter at the expense of your team?
I think that's why I wept, really, was the emotional release of it being over. Thank God we're not a punchline. And we've over the last few years, the Florida Panthers have done a great deal of suffering late in postseasons. And I think that's what all poured out of me, which is just like, oh my God, this is off our shoulders, and we came on the other side. Yeah, that was not at all fun.
The Heat didn't do that to you, correct?
No,
the Heat did not make you weep from relief.
No. The only other time that I think I felt that was when I was working with Chelsea and we won the Champions League, and that was like a whole bunch of COVID stuff and a whole bunch. And I kind of knew that was the end of my assignment, and I really poured myself into my work during that time. And that I cried not just because they won the championship. I cried because I worked so damn hard to make sure that life didn't interfere with the other lives, and it was just a whole big deal. I was so happy for there are people in that organization that I truly care about. I've grown to really love these players and have an affinity for Matthew Tkachuk. Well, after we left the arena at 3 a.m., Chris Whittingham is not lying when he says, my friends hate me. He was not enjoying last night. We FaceTimed him, my wife and I, we FaceTimed him again, and he answered at 3 a.m., and we were just begging him, come back, man. Come on. Come on.
I texted him before the game yesterday. I'm like, dude, we need you here.
We need you.
If maybe that would spark us. If you publicly say, all right, let's go Panthers tonight.
I know men are stubborn, but I've never been so stubborn to be the hill to die on. $120 jersey from Fanatics. Come on. They made the right move. And in the face of that, he's just going to be the most stubborn he's ever been in his life.
He's got to be hurting.
Yeah, my buddy Master was with him, and he said like he was not in great shape. I'm like, well, we're all looking for the guy who did this.
Why are you begging him to come back?
I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy it with my friends. Like, we're just firing up in the group chat right now. In fact, one of the guys provided a video that we just showed that you went through something together. Whether it be those guys on the ice, they went through their thing together. We went through all the stress, the highs and the lows, the screaming into your sweater as a group. The group chat had a good feeling about this. And we want to celebrate together, and you want to enjoy it with your friends. I'm really bummed that we didn't get to enjoy it with Woody, but he became a rallying cry. My wife is still texting him, you.
What kind of friend is he? He bailed on you. See, Greg, they thought they needed Whittingham until Chris saw an Edmonton Oiler fan throwing up in the parking lot.
Right.
Yes, right.
Roy, can you tell me where you were on relief? Because you pretended throughout, wrapped in armor and bravado, to never be scared. I don't believe that you can watch yesterday's game and not feel everything heightened. Where are you on feeling just relief? Because this isn't a historically laughable failure.
It's more joy than it is relief. Relief actually came after that huge penalty kill where Kevin Stanley lost his stick or gave his stick to Gustav Forsling. When they killed that off, that's pretty much when I knew they were going to end up winning.
I don't believe you. Don't. That's not how that works. There can be many more.
Right now
I mean, Chris has. I know they're going to. Look at where Chris is finding evidence. Oh, somebody's throwing up in the parking lot.
It's a good sign. You can't say that's not a good sign for Panthers.
I knew we were going to win with 12 seconds left. That's the only time where I was like, I'm actually going to see joy out of this thing, because I ran through all the scenarios like Doctor Strange, and it was hard to find a rational reason outside of we just have home ice in Game 7. That's what you play an entire season for. There was really hard to find a scenario in which I was going to feel any joy, and that's also probably why I cried.
It can be both, though. Relief can bring joy. They would have been mocked forever. There were two options for the Panthers last night. Win the Stanley Cup and be celebrated, or lose it and be mocked forever.
I can't imagine, and I know from people around the team, and Roy's played it cool, and there were like, that was a tense vibe. How could it not be? They had an extra day to chew on all the pressure. Maybe it ended up helping them. I know that 94 Rangers say that extra day helped them, and maybe if Oilers probably wanted to get right on the ice and keep playing and keep the momentum going. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure that goes with Game 7 when it's for that cup. There's a whole new world of pressure when you're a historic punchline.
The last 3 minutes of that game were terrifying and exhilarating all at once. When you talk about relief, I think it was because 3-0, all of a sudden 3 straight losses.
The way it played out.
And everybody's mentioning 1942, and this is what's facing you all of a sudden. And you not only raise the Stanley Cup, but at the same time you avoid eternal infamy, because you're right, the Panthers would have been completely mocked as the epitome of choking, of can't win it all, of losing in front of your home fans. That's why I wrote that this was the most extreme possible championship match that I've ever experienced.
Roy's got a big smile on his face. We instantaneously know that that's a siren call. Go to Roy. What are you smiling about, Roy?
I think Kachuk, Brandon Montour, Sam Bennett, Gustav Forsling brought the cup back out, and some more beer coming on the fans down here.
All right, Roy, you got to get some beer on your face.
Yep.
We need the shot.
I want that
and
for
a player on the show.
I want that for you. I want beer on your face.
How am I going to get play on the show? They won't let me in.
Just grab anyone. We don't know the difference.
It's that's true.
We just started watching hockey 3 weeks ago.
It'd be funny if you grab
Tell me anyone's
grab somebody who's incredibly pink and 312 pounds and just say it's Forsling.
Ask him what color the blue line is.
Let's examine for just a moment whether or not in the history of the sport there has ever been a champion that was outscored over a point in the series 18-5.
It's the weirdest goddamn series, man.
There's no way that's happened before, right? That someone holding up the trophy has wheezed to the finish of that series by being outscored 18-5 before. The Panthers, let's do it this way, actually, just so that you know, that series ended up closing out with the Panthers being outscored 19-7. 19-7 is how the last 4 games of that series
Who's celebrating today, though, Dano?
Right. It's just funny, though. It's funny and absurd.
You guys watched it on television. I asked Billy, who's not the biggest hockey guy, like, did that come across like it was a good game? Because that's a classic Game 7, like, battle it out. Every play feels like it's important.
Mike, I watched
it
it wire to wire. It felt like that.
Was it a big game? Did it feel good?
It felt like a big game.
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, and here's the only reason why. Because that is not an enjoyable game in any way without the stakes. It's only because of the stakes. You've got the entire third period. All the Panthers are doing is icing. Like they're
trying to get to the finish line.
That's
a strategy.
That's a close game. And it's a game with the most enormous stakes. I make that a regular season game, you're not finding that fun or interesting.
Well, of course, Game 7 helped, but you had 2 goals early, 1 for each team, 1-1 going into the second, and the Panthers scored the third.
That was a great sequence. Like, usually those first periods in Game 7s are tight, like 1 goal right back at you right away. Like, holy shit, we got the highest possible tension here. Panthers got a goal, and yeah, you mentioned the icing, but that's part of their style. It's almost as if, like, you remember the Ravens-Steelers matchups in the regular season and postseason where their styles of violence, those defensive styles made for the one example where you'd be like, I don't mind this rock fight here in this game. And that's just your classic Game 7. But I was curious for people that weren't huge hockey fans if that game drew them in at all, because I think they understood the stakes.
There was a series in baseball that's always cited. I don't remember what year it was. It was Yankees and Pirates. And I think what ended up happening, I think this is the Mazeroski thing, right? That if you go back and look at the run totals in that game, the Yankees won all the games by 15 runs, and the Pirates won all the games by 1 run. The reason you won this series is because in 4 of the games you held that offense to 6 goals. That's why you won.
Yeah.
You got the 4 in your 4.
Just have to do it 4 times.
In your 4 victories, you were able to dilute, diminish, and make impotent an offense that's overwhelming, and in the other 3 games showed you how overwhelming.
Yeah, stats when you get to the Stanley Cup final can be overrated in that you need to implement your will and your strategy to win at least 4 times, and you don't give a shit about how you go about doing it. You just need to achieve that mission. Panthers did it 4 times. It took them 3 times to win that 4th one. Well, 4 times to win that 4th one. God damn, we almost got really embarrassed.
It was very close.
Very close to being all-time embarrassed.
Simply relief. All you've heard today. It's not even happiness. It's just that
they're not mocking us.
It's just that there's less shit running down our leg than there would have been otherwise.
Folks, the time has come for some new golf clubs, and that means one thing. Heading over to my local PXG store for a fitting. They make the best golf clubs, period. Roy, hockey season is almost over. You're going to be out of the barn, and you're going to be out on the golf course with me. You need new clubs.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have your PXG fitting coming up soon. I did mine. I am telling you, it is the most efficient process. I went to the Fort Lauderdale location. They have them all over. It is efficient. You're in and out in an hour. You're swinging clubs. They're assessing you. Next thing you know, weeks later, boom. New clubs, irons, woods, putters. I'm telling you, it's the whole 9 yards. Is that a golf phrase? Whole 9 yards. That's a football phrase.
That's like, what, you're chipping 9 yards?
It's the whole 10-foot putt. PXG does it better than anybody else. It's knocked 4 to 5 strokes off my game within the first month, and it's just a game changer. PXG fitters are highly trained, incredibly experienced, and have a deep understanding of how to optimize your clubs to get the most out of your swing. Schedule your fitting today, and for a limited time, you can save up to 20% on your entire order, guys. That's 20% off your entire order. Head over to pxg.com/Dan. That's pxg.com/Dan to save up to 20% on your entire order. pxg.com/Dan. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Dan Le Batard.
World War III.
Stugotz.
We're going to get that off the ground.
World War III, our group chat has a pretty good feeling about this one.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Steve Levy's going to join us here in a second. The crew that's been covering this has to be exhausted. These flights back and forth to Edmonton are brutal. We'll get to Steve Levy in a second. But, Greg, your last night walking out onto the ice, media members are interacting with you. Are you a conquering hero? Do you feel like you've just won the Stanley Cup because of the number of media members congratulating you and slapping you on the back?
I did feel mildly exonerated, if I'm being honest, because, there was a lot of heat on me for having what people called a ridiculous opinion. And on some level, I'm certain it was, but I made pretty clear that what I meant was this guy.
We got it. You don't need to explain it again. We've covered it 70 different times. I got it. We got it.
To be the case.
As you're walking through the hallways, though, are you doing it with a strut? Because you got it right.
Who congratulated you? Give us some names of the media members who congratulated you as if you had won the Stanley Cup.
Just Will Manso of TV and, Roy and Dwork. And
of TV.
TV's Will Manso.
TV.
Yes.
Do you not know who he works for? Is that the problem?
No, I know all the stations, but there's
He's
too many
not here to take a quiz.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you, Billy.
He won a cup.
Literally too many people I didn't know came up to me. And
how many people? How many? Give me a number.
25 or 30.
All right. So you were a conquering hero.
Yeah. To the media. And not
congratulations.
Right. Congratulations.
And not to Steve Levy and not to some media, but to my media.
To your media.
To my immediate media.
That's
Will Manso.
To my immediate.
Will Manso of TV. Here is Steve Levy of TV as well. And as Stugotz says, Pink from the Boca Beach Club. You have said for...
There's no way he stayed anywhere in Sunrise, I promise
you. Have said for 2 weeks that he looks like the Boca Beach Club. He looks like he got too much sun. Steve, how tired are you right now?
A little bit fried, and tell Greg that Messier hates him too. Add him to the list, okay?
Okay, get in line, Mark.
Yes.
The Messiah.
How exhausted are you? Those flights are brutal, and it's a very long season. And do you believe that anyone outside of South Florida wanted the Panthers to win last night?
So first of all, I got to be honest. The NHL set up a charter, which was a big, big win. This is my 30th Stanley Cup final and the first time we've had access to a charter. So a bunch of ESPN people, Hockey Night in Canada people, Sportsnet. So it was nonstop, Fort Lauderdale to Edmonton, smooth, customs easy. So really, no complaints on the travel. We might have had it easier than the players did. In fact, the Oilers, I know when they went home from Fort Lauderdale, they had to stop in Kansas City for fuel. If you can believe that, on the Oilers plane. That's true story. So outside of South Florida, yeah, I do. I believe it. I believe it's special when a team finally wins its first Stanley Cup in franchise history. This is a hardworking, blue-collar, gritty club. The Panthers are. And so, yeah, I think they got a lot of fans in not in Canada probably, but certainly in the U.S.
You're going on vacation. You have two choices. You're spending a week. Edmonton or Sunrise, Florida. Where are you going?
Well, in the summer, man, I'm not picking Florida. And quite frankly, walking around Edmonton with Messier is pretty cool. We didn't wait in too many lines.
Right. Yeah. You can't bring Messier, though. I mean, it's just you.
Oh. Do I have to bring PK? Can I just go alone? No, we had a great time at Edmonton. We had a blast. It's a small town / city, but we had a great time. The people were really nice, really welcoming. And listen, if you love hockey, you'd love Edmonton too. I can't take the heat, man. I bubble up here in Florida in the summer. So, although I do go to Vegas in summer, so that's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Steve, early in the series, it looked like you guys had a desk from IKEA. I noticed that last night that desk disappeared. You had a nice lit up desk. It looked like a big desk was flown in for Game 7. What happened there?
So that's not true, but I appreciate you pointing that out. The desk that everyone was complaining about was only in Edmonton for the 3 games there. We couldn't get our proper desk through customs. No, it was the difference in the setup that we had. So here at the Amerant Bank Arena, which I still can't get used to saying, they gave us a great suite. We were in our own suite, therefore we had the desk. You could see we were standing behind it, lit up perfectly. And in Edmonton, we were not afforded that luxury of having a suite. We sort of had an area, if you will, which was like really right in the middle of the crowd and a ceiling right above us. So we couldn't stand. So we had to sit in chairs. Therefore, we had to get a different table. this is way too inside the television.
Well, but no, people. The desk was controversial, was it not? It isn't. It is too inside television. But your desk was bothering people in Edmonton, was it not? It was a source of great controversy.
No, and I even mentioned it. I say, hey, I'm taking the desk home with me. At the end, people don't like it. But as one of our bosses said, listen, it's a good thing. Nobody's complaining about our content or what we're saying or ripping our views or point of views. They're ripping the desk, so we seem to be okay with that,
Steve, this is a parochial opinion, but I find the Panthers to be a particularly likable team, and I'm wondering if you agree. And mostly, describe Paul Maurice to someone who's never met him or talked to him, because I think he's a breath of fresh air.
I mean, he was a central figure in this whole thing for me, and I said it last night in the pregame. If you didn't care who won, you didn't have a really rooting interest. Paul Maurice is a guy you root for. He's a lifer. He had more losses than any coach in NHL history, fired a bunch of times. He's had a rough road. And if this would have gone the other way last night, and this was kind of a coin flip. It's a one-goal game. This could have easily gone the other way. And if it had, he would have been tagged with that label of the guy who can't win the big one. So I think you saw on the ice what it meant to him. He was talking to Emily. He needed a break with the cup. And he looked to the sky and closed his eyes. I thought that was really real. And so I'm a Maurice guy. I remember him back in Hartford. He was the youngest coach in the NHL at that point of the Whalers. And Ray Ferraro's in that picture to the left. Ray said he's going to frame that. But he was a guy I was rooting for, maybe more so than any player. Tyler Pozzo's a great story, too, those kinds of things. But I really feel like Maurice earned this. And, yes, I think the Panthers are a likable club. Who doesn't like Matthew Tkachuk unless you got to play against him, and I get that. But Barkov, the way he carries himself, really all the guys, even Lomborg and Cousins and those guys, like I could get behind. This could be my favorite team, if I was a kid growing up watching this club. So I think likability off the charts, and I'm so happy for Paul Maurice, right at the top of my list.
How crushed was Messier last night?
So interesting emotions there. So, look, he's all in on the Oilers, and how could he not be, right? He's actually born and raised in Edmonton, let alone being the man there with Gretz. But then in the end, so the Oilers leave the ice, and I'm watching Mess, and it's only our third year together, our second cup. He got misty-eyed. Like, he gets in the moment of whoever is winning the cup. I think because he remembers how hard it is to do from his 6 Stanley Cups. And he was talking about the tentacles, in essence, of all the different people on the ice, from your billet family, the trainers, the equipment guys, the support staff who work so hard, especially in hockey, for not a lot of glory and probably not a lot of money. And you see the families on the ice and what it means. And Bill Zito, the GM, so emotional on so many occasions. And so Mess gets like teary-eyed. Mess is a really fascinating guy. He's a really thoughtful, introspective guy. Like, he would put his stick through your teeth to win a hockey game when he played, but now in his post-playing career, he's so thoughtful. I think he's an emotional guy as well, and I think he was reliving it. He did it 2 years ago too when Tampa Bay won as well, and so it's interesting to sort of go through a Stanley Cup final win with Mark Messier, who's won 6 of them. So he knows.
Can you give us some historical context on 2 of the following things here? 1, how strange a series was it to have your champion outscored 18-5 or 19-7 in the last 4 games? And furthermore, where is another game anywhere in the history of the sport with the pressure that the Panthers had on them between you win the first title ever or it'll be the worst thing you ever know and people are going to be laughing at you throughout history?
Yeah, no, it's all time. We opened the show last night saying this. You could make the argument this is the most significant single game in National Hockey League history. That's like I think that's hyperbole, but not necessarily when you break it down. That Florida had never won, Canada hadn't won in 31 years, the Oilers hadn't won in 34 years. Yes, you could complete the comeback for Florida and not carry around that label as the biggest choke job ever. I mean, I mentioned Maurice, but every player on that Panthers squad would wear that. And now they don't have to. And Edmonton can walk away with their heads held high in that they battled back from down 3-0 and, could have just given up and been swept out. So this was my 30th Stanley Cup. I just talked to Barry Melrose, who I miss dearly. And the first 28 were with Barry. He's off and retired and doing his thing. And And so I've never seen anything like this. And I'd like to think I have a feel for these series, but really after the third game, I thought this was sweep city. And I picked Florida in every game, 5, 6, and 7 to win. I couldn't believe they didn't win in 5 and 6. And so here we go, and they get it done last night. And that was the game they needed, guys. We didn't have a 1-goal game in the whole series. That never happens in the Stanley Cup Final. So that's another rarity prior to last night. And, Panthers hockey is winning 2-1, which was exactly the recipe for last night.
So the tan came from golf?
No, I don't golf really. I just perspire. I get warm. It's really warm. I'm in the lobby of the hotel. Of course, the air conditioning's not working.
Why were you so pink?
You mean last night or right now?
Just in general. Why? Just the entire series.
Well, some people are pointing to the makeup people, which we do wear makeup on television from time to time. My mom thinks I have really good skin, and that's why I look 35. You would agree, right?
Yes.
Guys, 35?
You haven't aged. It's bothersome. You have not aged. Mm-hmm. It's annoying.
I get all the Botox stuff, too, and come on, you guys know me a little bit. I am the last guy to do any of that stuff. Come on. And so, I perspire. I overheat. Chris Berman is the only guy who likes the studio colder than I like it. And it makes everybody else nuts. Even Messier, the tough kid from Alberta, he complains the studio's too cold when I'm in there with him. I'm like, you're Mark Messier from Alberta. How can it be too cold for you? So it's just a thing. It's my thing.
Good seeing you. Excellent work, sir. It's always good seeing you. You've been doing excellent work for a long time.
Thanks. Be well, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Steve.
Take care, Steve.
You won the biggest game in the history of hockey. I mean,
that's crazy that, the Panthers won the game that they're calling the most.
USA Russia would like to have a word.
Look, as a small business, we don't get to clock out, ever. We're always on, nights, weekends, holidays. So, when it came time to hire someone, we couldn't waste time. We needed help. Real help. Not Stugotz knows a guy help. We used LinkedIn Jobs. And we'll be honest, we didn't expect it to be that easy. We posted the job for free. LinkedIn basically held our hand and wrote the description for us. Next thing you know, candidates, qualified ones, not resumes written in crayon, real people who want to work. Imagine that. LinkedIn gives you all the tools, deep insights, easy filtering, one place to manage everything. We even threw the little hashtag hiring frame on our profile picture, doubled the number of applicants. Now we're part of that 72% of small businesses that say LinkedIn helps them find high-quality candidates. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/DLS. That's linkedin.com/DLS to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Folks, the time has come for some new golf clubs, and that means one thing. Heading over to my local PXG store for a fitting. They make the best golf clubs, period. Roy, hockey season's almost over. You're going to be out of the barn, and you're going to be out on the golf course with me. You need new clubs.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have your PXG fitting coming up soon. I did mine. I am telling you, it is the most efficient process. I went to the Fort Lauderdale location. They have them all over. It is efficient. You're in and out in an hour. You're swinging clubs. They're assessing you. Next thing you know, weeks later, boom. New clubs, irons, woods, putters. I'm telling you, it's the whole 9 yards. Is that a golf phrase? Whole 9 yards. That's a football phrase.
That's like, you're chipping the 9 yards?
It's the whole 10-foot putt. PXG does it better than anybody else. It's knocked 4 to 5 strokes off my game within the first month, and it's just a game changer. PXG fitters are highly trained, incredibly experienced, and have a deep understanding of how to optimize your clubs to get the most out of your swing. Schedule your fitting today, and for a limited time, you can save up to 20% on your entire order, guys. That's 20% off your entire order. Head over to pxg.com/Dan. That's pxg.com/Dan to save up to 20% on your entire order. pxg.com/Dan. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Howdy, folks. It's Mike Ryan. Now, if you've been listening to the show a lot lately, you've heard so much playoff talk. Playoff hoops. Down here in South Florida, we're especially enamored with playoff hockey. It's not just limited to the playoffs. Motorsports, tennis, golf. It's truly one of the best times in the sporting calendar. And with the weather outside warming up, it's just perfect to hop in a pool, maybe grill up some food, but most certainly crack open some Miller Lights. I just described a pretty perfect day, didn't I? And it culminates with Miller time. There's something about a perfect grilling day. The sun's out, friends show up, and that first sip of Miller Lite just hits different. I've been stocking up the cooler with it for years. This year, Miller Lite turns 50. That is 5 decades of cookouts, laughs, and ice-cold moments that never miss. And if you've listened to the show for its 20-year existence, you know this to be true. Miller Lite. Great taste. 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Cheers to 50 years of Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.